Oh, interesting video.
It's September 2017, and members of the International Olympic Committee are gathered to pick the city that will host the 2024 Olympic Games. The biggest decision this group makes. They've put representatives from the two competing cities on stage for their announcement.
With the unanimous decision we took.
But everyone here
already
knows.
You want to know why? You want to bring also host the Olympics? One, it's extremely expensive. They have to pay. They have to fucking pay over fucking like millions of years after. And two, people are starting to care less about Olympics because in the battle of eyeballs, there's so much shit to do and watch that nobody actually gives a fuck, because this used to be background entertainment, but it's pretty much all we have, pretty much. So people lay it on the TV and watch it. People don't give a fuck anymore. They don't give a fuck. They watch other shit.
Raise your hand.
Every 4 years, more than 5 million people attend the Olympics, and over 3 billion watch it on TV. It's a once-in-a-generation opportunity for one city to show off, and the competition has typically been fierce. 12 cities applied to host the 2004 Games before the IOC picked Athens, Greece. 10 applied for 2008, won by Beijing, China. But since then, interest has been waning. 9 cities applied for 2012, then 7, then 5, and for 2024, only 2 were left when it was time for a vote.
Oh
so
my
the
God.
IOC did.
Dude, chat, imagine if it went to LA. I think that would have been actually the final nail in the coffin.
Something it's never done before.
Paris 24,
Paris is the
Los
same,
Angeles,
dude.
28.
What, they got it? 2028?
Paris is the same. Paris is a fucking shithole. Never go to Paris.
I put this into a clip and put this
Yeah,
in
the
history,
two
folks.
worst
I'm calling
cities in
it
the world. I've never been
2028
to
is
LA.
the final downfall of
I've heard
LA.
bad things about
I think
it.
it's gonna be where it's going to go into full reset.
Paris
and
is
it'll
a
take
fucking
10
shithole.
years before it even
Never go
recovers
to
a little
fucking
bit.
Paris.
That nobody would bid to host the games in 2028, that it simultaneously awarded the games 2024 to Paris and 2028 to Los Angeles.
It's gonna be a war
There used to
zone.
be a strong demand to host. Now there isn't.
The Olympics are the most prestigious sports event in the world. Why doesn't anyone want to host it anymore?
Ooh, nice intro, I like that.
So the Olympics have actually had this problem before. They originally came up with this idea of rotating the games around to different cities back in 1896 because they had to.
We didn't have international jet travel and we didn't have international telecommunications.
Andrew Zimbalist wrote a book about the economics of hosting sports mega events like the Olympics.
So it was necessary in order to spread the games internationally and get the whole world to participate and enjoy them.
As the games grew, the IOC kept this tradition, eventually developing a competition where cities would submit bids and it would vote on a winner. But when it opened bidding for the 1984 games, not a single city wanted to host, because the last few hadn't gone very well.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Local political protests had turned violent during
Yeah,
the
the Montreal
1968
games.
games in Mexico City, and terrorists killed 11
don't talk
Israeli
about that.
athletes at the 72 Munich Games.
Invade the Olympic Village, taking 9 Israeli athletes hostage and killing 2 others in their room.
Both incidents showed cities that hosting could be politically risky, or even deadly. When construction problems and corruption led Montreal to spend more than 13 times their budget, they began to view it as financially risky too. So in the late 70s, the IOC was barreling towards disaster
We don't talk about that.
until one
That
city
didn't happen.
offered to save them.
None of
Only
that
one
happened.
condition: Los Angeles
Propaganda.
did not want to spend a lot of money. To do that, it offered to use venues it already had instead of built new ones. The LA Coliseum, where the USC football team played, the Forum, where the Lakers played, UCLA's gymnasium and tennis center, and the athletes could just stay in the college dorm rooms. Since the IOC didn't have a choice, it said yes, and was soon glad it did.
What?
The '84 LA Games were a success in almost every way, but
Oh, wow.
especially financially. It only cost around $1 billion in 2015 dollars.
What?
And LA even made a profit. This should have become the model for future Olympic host cities, but instead it sparked the problem that is plaguing the Olympics today.
It's interesting how many of these
A
sports
profit?
and politics stories really boil down to economics. If you recall, the Premier League story is a story about a warped economic system. The NFL is so successful because it created
that
a new
hashtag
economic
ad?
model for sports leagues. If you haven't seen those videos yet in the world, in order to malware, Surfshark deal. Use the coupon guarantee.
I will
Again,
use that.
Surfshark is how I keep myself safe online. It's the best way.
The 19 LA did such a good job hosting the 1984 Olympics that it re-inspired cities to want to host again. For the 1992 games, 6 cities submitted bids, then 6 again for 96, 8 for 2000, then a whopping 11 for 2004. As more cities competed, the IOC regained leverage over them again.
Oh,
But
cool.
instead of sticking to the LA model, it began demanding more. Between 1992 and 2020, the IOC added dozens of new sports to the games.
Dance, gym, athletics, combat sports. Yeah, and then they have to build stadiums that they don't have, amenities that they don't have, housing that they, and it's like they have to make a whole like fake city just for the event.
This required more venues and housing for more athletes, which host cities were primarily responsible for paying for. As the competition intensified, cities felt increasing pressure to make their bids more attractive. The most effective way to do that was to build new venues. Sydney built 15 new venues plus housing for 10,000 athletes.
That's ridiculous.
Athens built 22 new venues, and Beijing built 12. All of this construction made hosting the games really, really expensive.
Oh my god, dude! Imagine you lived right there.
Construction made hosting the games really,
Dude, no shot.
really expensive. This chart shows how the cost of the games skyrocketed over the last 30 years, reaching between $10 and $25 billion in the last decade.
I want to add one big caveat to this chart though. It only includes sports-related costs to the games. It doesn't include things like new public transportation or development projects that most all these cities spent money on for the Olympics. If we include some of those costs, these bars are actually way higher. So for example, some estimate that Beijing spent more like $45 billion for their 2008 Summer Games. Russia spent more like $51 in 2014, and Tokyo's bill is more like $35 billion. No matter what number you use though, all of these cities went way over their initial budget, which the bidding process in...
And I offered to watch party the Olympics for a couple games for free on my stream, right? And I got DMC'd for it. Fuck the Olympics. You guys deserve this shit. Fuck you guys. You can suck it. Suck it, suck it.
Incentivizes them to keep artificially low.
What they have to do is make initial statements.
They're fucking bitches about this shit. The corporate bullshit. Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck you. Fuck you, man.
Mark my words. It'll take another maybe 2 or 3 Olympics in 12 years. They'll understand the mistake that they did. When the numbers go low enough, they're gonna have to be even more creative about the solutions to bring back viewership and bring back the interest for Olympics. And they will start paying a fuck ton of money for people to watch party and to fucking co-watch all their fucking shit. They will dish out billions of dollars in marketing on the content creators and fucking live parties. It's gonna happen.
The bells and whistles. And those can be very, very substantial.
The revenue cities generate from ticket sales, TV contracts, and sponsorships only cover a fraction of these costs, meaning these governments and really their taxpayers are on the hook for the rest.
So it doesn't look like a good economic deal.
But host cities have known for decades that they'll likely lose money in the short term. Instead, many have been told that hosting the Olympics is an investment that will pay off in the future.
Okay, so this is the IOC's webpage where they list the benefits of hosting the games. And they use this word legacy a lot. And by legacy, they mean things that will continue to benefit your city long after the Olympics are over.
Oh God,
take sports facilities. Beijing justified spending around $460 million on this new 90,000 seat stadium by planning for a local pro soccer team to use it after the Olympics.
Cool, man.
London did the same when it built this stadium. At first, seems like a good idea. Other legacy projects are meant to benefit even more people. Russia spent $8.7 billion on a new rail and highway link into Sochi for its Winter Games. And Rio de Janeiro spent $4 billion on a new subway line connecting a beach community to its Olympic Center. The most commonly touted legacy benefit is that hosting an Olympics is a great way to kickstart your city's growth.
What historically came out of the public relations with regard to the Olympics was that the
whole thing started falling apart. The whole thing just started falling apart to pieces.
It was the most wonderful thing that could ever happen to a city. It puts your city on the world map, so it will increase tourism, it will increase commerce, it will increase foreign investment, and that story turns out not to be true.
Let's start with tourism. A 2004 study found that after experiencing a bump in tourism leading up to their respective games, Atlanta, Sydney, and Seoul all saw it fall afterwards. In his book, Andrew cites a 1996 study on 3 Olympic Winter Games that found that the long-term impact on tourism was between non-existent and very modest.
Yeah, no shit.
And a 2010 study that found little evidence of any benefit to tourism of hosting an Olympic Games, and considerable evidence of damage. In other words, being on TV can backfire.
If the weather is particularly too warm, or if it's too cold, if there are security incidents, if there are bad stories about the traffic, some cities are able to maybe help their image, but other cities are hurting their image.
Many legacy infrastructure investments haven't paid off either. Russia's rail project is now considered an epic failure. And Andrew argues that while Rio's subway line benefits some residents, what the city really needed was a line serving the lower income neighborhoods inland. But that's not where the Olympics were.
The typical case was that the IOC comes along and they say, we need these 30 venues and we want you to put them away so the transportation is facilitated and other convenience.
Oh, so bad city equals bad publicity. Who would have thought?
Buses are allowed. And so what the city would have to do is contort itself in order to accommodate the IOC.
Empty stadiums are a particularly visible sign of this mismatch. That Beijing Stadium had about 80,000 more seats than what the local soccer team could fill, so it backed out. Now the stadium sits mostly empty, costing the city some $10 million a year to maintain. This is what's called a white elephant, and there are now dozens of them across Olympic host cities. These are venues left over from the Athens 2004 Games, and ESPN found that 12 out of 27 venues in Rio de Janeiro had not held an event a year after it hosted the Olympics. For many residents, white elephants are evidence that hosting the Games is a waste of money.
The idea that had been out there forever and ever, this is wonderful news for the city, they get to do this. No, more often than not, it's going to be the opposite.
By 2015, city residents were ready to do something about it. The IOC had 6 cities bidding for the 2024 Games until protests forced Boston and Hamburg to drop out. A new mayor in Rome fulfilled a promise to shut down its bid. Then more than 260,000 people signed up.
LA think they're gonna make a comeback or whatever. Oh yeah, it worked out in the past, and then it's gonna go hard. No shot.
Petition that led Budapest to drop out as well.
With the size and requirements
with just 2 bidders, and
Olympics,
once again, little leverage. The IOC has since passed reforms that it says reduce the cost of hosting, largely by requiring hosts to use existing and temporary venues, like LA did back in 1984, and allowing them to partner with other cities. As of now, Paris doesn't look like it will blow its budget, and LA's organizing committee is saying that the city can again pull off an on-budget Olympics. But the question is, if they do, could it spark another bidding war?
I don't know if we'll go into a big cycle like we did after the 84 Games. I mean, I do think it's possible that there'll be a small turn. It'll appear less undesirable than it has.
The IOC has also stopped taking bids and instead negotiates with cities privately. It picked Milan and Cortina, Italy, over Stockholm for the 2026 Winter Games, and it gave Brisbane, Australia, the 2032 Summer Games. But some are arguing for a more...
I hate on Paris. People that live in Paris hate on Paris. France hates on Paris. Brother, like, you act like you're defending anybody by going like against the fucking Paris hate. It's perfectly justified. What the fuck are you talking about?
Permanent solution.
Yes.
I think it's perfectly plausible to think about building the Olympic Shangri-La with its 35 or 40 venues for the Summer Games, smaller number for the Winter Games. In one place.
Some believe Greece, the historical home of the Olympics, would make a good permanent host. Others have mentioned LA since it has so many venues and has done so well in the past. A permanent spot would eliminate white elephant projects, save cities from going into debt, and reduce the game's environmental footprint. But it could also reduce much of the excitement around each new Olympics.
It's not going to be easy to go to a model that makes environmental sense and economic sense. But I do think it makes sense to talk about it and put it out there as someplace that we should be heading.
Depending on how the next few Olympics go, it might be the only direction left.
Yo, the content is the competing, the competition, the athletes. It's the focus. Guys, I wish people would stop caring about this whole, but dude, the stands have to look good. Bro, nobody actually gives a fuck. They say they care. They pretend to care. They don't care. I'm telling you.
All right, thanks everyone so much for watching episode 15. That's also our 1-year anniversary of Search Party. We have over 380,000 subscribers. We've published 15 videos, a ton of shorts. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And I want to thank my whole team for the really hard work they've done over the last year. It's been a lot of fun.
Here I come. Oh, here I come.
Keep an eye out for our next few stories. We've got a really good pipeline coming.
Give me the Olympics, I'll host
one more Olympic story And then we're back to geopolitics on a really exciting story that's got a really cool visual hook that I think you guys will like. And then we're doing a story on MMA and then sports betting. So keep an eye out for those. Again, if you haven't subscribed to Search Party, please do.
Gambling Olympic.
And I'll see you in a couple of weeks. All right. See ya.
See you, man.
Yeah, Gambling Olympic.